Hi guys, so we're going to be doing a bonus session today, this time on the New York, and I'm going to go on one of my other sort of pairs that I used to trade back in the day, and I'm just going to share the screen, and I'm going to try and do this one with a twist, to be fair. Right, so we've got the USD JPY, one of my older horns for a trade, and I'm going to do this with my goalposts at 1 o'clock till 2 o'clock. So I'm only going to do this over an hour. Again, let's just take a look. Even though I see a 1 o'clock, okay, I'm going to try and set a trade now. Let's take a look. Halfway point. So I'm just going to try and do this over 5 minutes. We're going to have the risk to reward on here, 1 to 5. That's our first trade. In fact, we'll try and do this till about 3. Okay, that's our first trade. We'll see if we'll get in. It's a 1 to 5. I'm going to try this over a 5-minute period. So we'll take it from there, guys. And we will call back in a moment again. This one we are starting from obviously a fresh, so we're on a balance and growth of 0%. But this one I'm going to risk 2% per trade. Okay, 2% per trade, and we'll see what happens from there, guys. Okay, so we'll see you in a bit. I'm just gonna pause the share. Although, sorry, not pause the share. We're going to stop the share and pause the recording. Let's just see if we can pause the recording there. Stop the share. Right, guys, so we've got the setup. We're going to be risking 2% a trade on this, and we're going to do it with a bit more of a twist. We've got our identification on the swings. Okay, so we're now starting from 1. I'm going to try and do this up till 3 p.m. I am still waiting for a delivery, so I might have to go off at some stage to get that delivery from the door. We've had a break of structure. Okay, so that there, I'm going to try and do this a lot more in depth, if that makes sense. So there's been a break of structure there. This is where liquidity lies at the moment. We are residing, so every time there's a 5-minute candle, we are going to go to 50% of the candle. And it's something I was talking to one of the other members in our group this morning about these sort of things. So I'm just testing something with it just to see where we are. Again, if we get a break of structure of this, it invalidates this top one. So then I'll be entering more or less 50% of this candle here. So at the moment, we've got around about 2 minutes and 38 seconds of that. It looks like we're going to get a break of structure. If we get that, then it invalidates this structure point. From there, I will move the parameters of this to the next swing. So as you can see, what we've got at the moment from a wave standpoint is that B, at the moment we've got the push down, so we've got the break there. So what we'll do is we'll just go up 50% of that, bring it to the liquidity area of that area. That there needs to be deleted off. And I'm going to try and go a bit more in depth with these, to be fair. There's definitely a break of structure on that. So that's been a break. From there, we'll try and keep everything correct. being a break of structure on that. At this moment, the structure resides here. Okay. Again, just to keep everything clear, that's where the money resides at the moment on the downside. So you've had the A, B, that's where it's at the moment. However, we are now looking for the new high down to here, pull up to here, and then the crash out of that to give us our TP of a 1 to 3. Again, it'll be a 1 to 6 simply because we're risking 2%. So this is just a bit more. Whoop, let's go back. We are just risking at 2% a bit more, to be honest. And again, what we are going to do, if this continues to pull down out of here, we are just going to move this because obviously there's been no pullback at this stage. Let's just go in depth into here. There's our candle there. Skim back. And we'll see how this plays out for the 2 hours. Yeah, the 2 hours of the 1 till 3. Again, we'll just bring this down, bring our structure point down. And again, bring this into play. So now it's a 1 to 4.17. See, we'll get that retraced back. We're waiting for the green candle to come up to sort of tell us that we are now instigating. We've got 4 minutes. Again, guys, as long as this keeps going on, this is just going to get bigger and bigger. This swing point here, is just going to stand true. Okay. So from there, we've got the high. Okay. We've got damn thing. We've got the lower high. So we're coming down in structure as well. Okay. We've got there, lower. And at the moment, we're creating a lower high at the minute. So just follow the structure, keep the liquidity, bring down the TP. Because at the moment, there's nothing pulled back on here. And we just continue to move this until we get that pullback. This will stay true. Like I say, this does stay true to what this is, simply because that is the high. This, in essence, I should say, is the order block. Sorry. This here is the order block. Okay. So we're looking around about 50% of the order block. So it's going to be around about there. Again, pushing down. So 1 to 7 at the moment. Once we start getting the pullback, guys, I'll pause the video. You're gonna get used to the structure and where we are. We need to get a green candle before I can pause the video, obviously. Again, we haven't had that break of structure on here yet. That's where the liquidity lies. We've got 2 minutes and 5, 2 minutes and 6. Starting to get a bit of a pullback now. Let's keep liquidity where it's going. Like I say, we've done the 1 minute charting. We're going to step it up and do the 5 minutes on the New York sessions. We'll see where we get. We might start getting a pullback now, to be fair, but that's where liquidity resides on because we've had the high, we've broke the structure of this, we've had the pullback. Now we're coming down to here. Now we're getting the pullback as well, starting to get the pullback with buyers because there's a wick here. So this is the ABC. We wait for the pullback again. There's a minute, just over a minute for this candle to play out. We might find that we might start getting the pullback up into this higher area. Just keep looking out my window for the driver. Just waiting for a delivery as I see it. 45 seconds. $20 seconds. See where this plays out to. And I might start another Excel sheet for this as well, to be fair. So I'll do a session in the morning, session in the afternoon. The New York ones will be basing these on 2% risks on the 5 minute chart. So there's the pullback there. So this here is where liquidity certainly is. We're starting to get the pullback now. So this will not be moving any further down. Get the magic wand out. So this will not move any further down, okay? Because now we've officially started a new candle. This is where we are. We now are expecting to move back up into this area for then a push further down into here, okay? From there, guys, if I was to move this to here, that would be a risk to reward of 1 to 3.56. So that there now becomes a structure point. So if we wanted to, we could close out here. If we were risking 2%, okay, there's going to be just over nearly a 7% gain on that. So what we'll do is we'll keep this here. I'm going to pause the video. We'll be back in a minute. We'll let the candles play out a bit. We'll see we'll come back up into the entry again. If this here pushes down out of here, this candle then will become, if this one stays green, this one then will become the area of an entry, okay? We've got 3 minutes and 40 seconds left. So I'm going to pause the video and we'll be back in a moment, guys. Back in a moment. Hi guys, just quickly share the screen again just to give you an update. Make this a little bit bigger. So what we've got the pullback coming now. I've opened the risk up a little bit higher. So between the tip of this last lower high, I've put an extra pip or two just above that to protect the liquidity on here. So we've got a high, a lower low, lower high. This here, obviously structure-wise, is going to be the lower low. Okay. Let's take a look. We need to get this back onto there. That's what I need. Get this onto here. Right. So that's where that resides. So at the moment, guys, this will be a 1 to 5.48. Again, we're going to risk a 2% just to see what happens when we go to 50% up for 5 minutes. Just something we're going to be testing for this. Again, we're expecting a lower high to be ended up on here. If we don't get that, we simply just wait for the break of structure of this, and then we just use the candle of the 50% of this last up before the down. We'll see if we'll get the entry on the top side though, and then we'll be back. And I'm going to base this over the span of 2 hours as well. I do believe, we'll just make my handsome bigger head, handsome Geordie face a bit bigger. I do believe that on the preference of scalping on the 1 minute and having conjunction of 2 hours, I was getting 1 to 3 trades. I do believe Going on the higher time frame, we may only get the one trade, maybe two at best. So whereas the 1 minute can give you between 1 to 3, using this structure and this way, this may only produce that one trade. But again, if we risk 2%, because generally I only risk 1% on the 1 minute charts, if we're only going to get 1 or 2 trades on a session or on the 5 minutes, risking a 2% might be the way to go on this. So again, if you're not liking the 1 minute scalp, we can try to incorporate this on a 5 minute chart. We'll see what happens with this. Again, you've got to remember, we're going to go with the floor. We're going to keep the breaker structure, keep everything all set up. This is where liquidity resides. This is where we're expecting the entry to. We'll see if this plays out. Again, we could call the trade on a 2% there. That would give us nearly a 5% growth straight away anyway. We'll see what happens with that. I might actually do that, to be fair. I'm going to wait, though. I'm going to wait and see if we get an entry on this, first of all. We'll be back in a moment and see where we are from there, guys. Hopefully you're following along with us and seeing where we are with structure and things, and it might make it a little bit easier for those guys who aren't that comfortable doing the 1 minute scalp. Again, it's my intention and my mission to help as many people as I can. If you're not too sure with the 1 minute and it's a little bit too much, maybe condense and make it a little bit bigger, but it's imperative that we keep that time frame, because in theory, if the 1 minute chart in 2 hours on your goalpost is giving you 2 to 3 trades, this should at least throw one out, and it's well worth risking a 2% on that one trade for the day. Okay, because you really only need to take one trade a day, if that. So I'll see you in a bit. Hi guys, and we're back. Let's just go back onto the chart. Bring my head down here, get the wand out. So again, high, low, broke the structure. Lower high, lower low. Okay, we've got lower low. We're starting to get a lower high. However, will our lower high bring us into the order block of this? What will happen is, if we come down and break this structure, the new order block will basically be that of possibly that there. And again, we then just move this down to here, and then this above that new lower high. So again, this is a simple technique. It's simple to follow, and we're just going to basically follow the trend until we hit the entry on a 5 minute on the 5 minute chart. Again, risking 2% within that 2 hours, simply because we should get at least one. If we are lucky, we may get 2 trades. At the moment, we are residing at a 1 to 5.43, but again, we may, if this holds on here, we may sort of let this ride. This is running towards the entry at the moment. Again, we may have this go to around OT, which will be a risk to reward of 1 to 2.5. Cross that bridge when we get to it. However, so far, structure wise, please pause the video, take a screenshot, write all this down, your structure, where you're coming down the trend. You've got your highs, your lower highs, which could be here, or maybe on the entry point, your lower lows. And each time we'll come down, we're breaking a structure point, and where liquidity resides after the pullback, that will be the target area. And again, risking 2% per trade, because we are on that 5 minute chart at the moment. Just going to pause the video. We'll come back in a second, see if we've hit entry. Right, now, as you can see when I share the screen here, guys, let's just make this a little bit bigger. We can see we've now had to drive down, which is a little bit sad, because we were around about a pip from entry. Again, learning curve, new venture, new try, new time frame. So this looks as if we've missed the entry by a pip. All's not lost. We are just waiting for a maneuver We are just waiting for a maneuver to break out of here structure wise, and then we are just moving the area of importance down. And as we move down within the charts itself, to be visual, it's always good to mark your charts up as you are doing the trades. Okay, so if you're following along with this and you're going to do this sort of style as well, this may help you be able to draw your charts up, and then at the end of your session of your 2 hours, you can look at the chart and just sort of sit back and appreciate the stuff that you've drawn out, take a look at it, and then see where you're off from there. I'm going to let this play. I'm just going to check my notification. I'm just getting through. Yeah, right. So we are waiting for this again. We are within the range of this lower high to the lower low. So that there, the range from that lower high to the lower low, we are still within a play. We may get a pull up and entry still to come down to here. But again, if we get the breakout down here from this downside, the new state of play would be this area here from this lower low, if that makes sense. Okay. So again, we're going to mark this up with a questionable area of a possibility where this may be the new lower low. It is a lower low at the moment. It does reside as a lower high, sorry, man. It does reside at the moment as a lower high, but that will not be confirmed until we get the breaker structure for a new low low. So I'll pause the video and we'll be back in a second. Back at it again, and let's take a look. Get that handsome face of mine that little bit bigger. Why not? So now, guys, let's take a look. We've now broken the structure of here. So now that's invalid. Okay. We're now getting rid of that. Has now become an official lower high. We are now doing our entry to 50%. Bringing this down to a pip or so above. From there, again, that's a breaker structure. Got a new area. Okay. Do this to this. That's 50%. Let's just get rid of that. So that's the new structured area. I'm just making sure this is 50%, guys. Purple line. 50% there. Again, yeah. We've got that set up. So structure-wise, let's run down. Let's run down where we are structure-wise. So we've had the breaker structure. This here is, again, confirmed as a breaker structure. Okay. Now we are drawing these as we go down. I'm trying to be as transparent as I can. That there is the new TP area. We could have that highlighted as well. So at the moment that stays as TP. So each time we come down and we break out the structure, if this was to come down and break the structure at the moment, okay, at the moment, we would simply just move this a little bit further down. At the minute, there's 54 seconds of the candle, 50 seconds of that candle. We'll see if we'll get this. And again, we are risking 2% risk, okay, within that time frame. There's a 2% risk within that time frame, and I'm going to continue to do this up till 3 o'clock. We'll see if we get an entry at some stage with regards to the pullbacks. It's 50% of the 5-minute candle, and we'll just take everything from there. Again, I'm going to wait for this candle to close out. If it closes out, then it means this resides as our TP area, to be fair. Let's have a look, 6 seconds. 1 second. So we're now going into a new candle. So if we get the pullback, again, it's going to be a 3.5. So that's basically 3.56. So it's going to be a 7% gain if we get the entry to the TP. Okay, so we'll let this play out. We'll call back in a moment just to reiterate 2% risk within our allotted time frame of 2 hours between 1 and 3 New York session times, with the USD JPY 5-minute time frame. We are only risking 2% simply because on the 1-minute time frame on the previous sessions I do, we can get 2 or 3 trades. If we just get 1 trade on this, it's worth the risk of 2%. We are structurally looking at the high, the lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Okay, we are now anticipating the pullback into, again, a possible lower high up here, and then the move down on the impulse. Again, we'll let this run by. We'll see what happens. See, we'll get an entry within the next minute or so. We have got 3 minutes 40 of this candle left. See if it is going to push back. Generally, after the impulse move, what you're getting from like that swing point down to this swing point, you're going to get the 50% hit more than anything. Let's have a look. I just want to change this to IP here. So just going to give you a 50% understanding. So generally, a candle will come back and bounce off this line here from that impulse push down. Again, if we get a breakout through that, it's going to go deeper into cheaper price territory. That makes sense for an entry area. And there's your push to the 50%. It's about a pip off. We're going to get the push through. See, we'll get that a little bit of a push. We're on 2 minutes 45 on the candle that's being played at the moment. That's barely a pip away from the actual 50%. It might give another little drive as we go into the last 2 minutes of it. 2 minutes 30. See if we'll get that next little push up. 220. Still waiting for this delivery as well. Let's just take a look. In fact, you can see that line isn't quite down onto that wick. There's your 50%. It's barely a pip or a pipette off. I'm going to pause the video, guys. We'll come back and we'll leave as this is. I'm not going to move anything on regards to the structure to the left, just so when you're watching these, you can see structure-wise where we are, the highs, the lower lows, things like that. This here is the new area that we're going down to. That's the new lower high. Okay. As we are moving down, I think I'll just pinpoint these. As we are moving down, these are your areas. Again, lower lows, structure wise, lower lows. And as we pull up at the moment, that's a lower low at the moment. That there is a lower low at this time. 16. Okay. Again, let's just get that pulled out. But this is the active liquidity area because there's nothing else driven price down here. So we've driven price out of here. So that there, that on that bit there has been a liquidity grab from that, as to as this, as to as this. Hopefully this little draw out It's helping you identify structure points. Just going to pause the video again, guys, and we'll be back in a moment or two as we just check upon stuff. And we're heading into the halfway point, and you'll see, and now you understand why we were risking a 2% per trade, because we may even go through the whole session. There may not be a trade to enter, but again, this is going to help you understand structure-wise what I'm looking at. But also, if we do get that entry, it is worth risking that 2%, because on this, it will give you a 7% gain back, okay? So stop the share, pause the video, and we'll be back. Didn't take long to break the structure. I'm finding these 5-minute charts to be more sort of time, to be fair, or quicker, to be honest, than what the 1 minutes. In all honesty, I'm on the charts more than what I would normally be. In all honesty, on the 5-minute, the 1 minute, I should say. So I do apologize. Right. So now we've identified a lower high. Okay. That's that. We are now bringing our area. That's that. We are bringing this to the lower high, so we've got that, and we are now bringing it to the 50%. Where are we at? That's your 50%. That's the TP at the minute. That there. This here is this here has now become a breaker structure. Okay, that's a breaker structure. The entry in fact, we've still got 2 seconds on that. No, we'll go back. Go back. We'll have that held at the moment. What we're doing is we're going to get this stretched down to here. We'll keep this out here. Get rid of this. In essence, that is a lower high, to be fair, because it is one candle. But we want structure to have a proper retracement, if that makes sense. So we're going to continue with that retrace, with the impulse down, to be fair, because it is only the one candle. Let's see where we are. It just means we're moving our TP. We'll get rid of that. And this is a learning curve as well. I'm doing this on the fly. It's recorded right in front of you. Risk of 4.65 again. That's going to be just over 9% return, to be fair, if we do get an entry to come back in. Again, based upon that high there to that. That is your halfway point. We'll see what happens in the next few candles, see what happens. That's your TP, break a structure. Once you break a structure, you can see clearly, see what we're doing with these as we're moving down. It's now currently nearly 2 o'clock, heading into the first hour of doing this. Again, I have been live recording, but pausing the video from time to time. And please just show the appreciation, obviously, doing the markups and things like this. It's just helping you structurally, training the eye, training the brain to continuously see these areas of the swing points, because the more you do this on your charts, the more you're going to be able to identify these areas, if that makes sense. Again, we're heading into 2 minutes 22 left of the candle. We're starting to get more wicks than body, to be fair. So it's an indication of there's a struggle between the buyers to sellers. So we might start forming, instead of the big body candles, we'll start be going into what we call dojis and things like that, where those are indecisive candles like this here. You see this? As you get the momentum up on the shift, you can see we've got big engulfing candles. However, we'll start shifting into indecisiveness and it's exhaustion. And then eventually you get this sort of thing where neither the buyers or the sellers are in control. And it's just a doji. It's just a basic flat bit of entity just to tell you there's been buyers and sellers there. And it's like a spinning top, a more sort of thing. And it's a similar here, big candle wax moves, and then straight back up, exhaustion. We've got like a spinning top thing on here, dragonfly, whatever you want to call it, shooting star. And then we've had the move on the reversal back down. Again, this is on a 4.65. We'll see, we'll get the pull back. And if we just go on to here, again, you've got what? Yeah. B, C, D, and then you've got your drive down. You see how that's moving down within the price and the structure. If we make that black, you might be able to see it a bit better. You can see how structure and price has formed going down on the downtrend on that. Again, let's just get rid of that. And I might do this going forward, to be fair, the best I can anyway. So I know we do the 1 minute charts on a morning each day. I might do the USD/GPY on the 5 minutes each day as well, and upload these to the Discord and also YouTube, and put them into a playlist. In all honesty, I think I might have my delivery coming any second. I'm going to pause the video and I will be back in a second and we'll have a look to see where we are on the charts. Again, it's all about structure and identifying these areas, okay? Let's have a look. And identifying these areas and things like that, okay? So what we'll do is we'll pause the video and we'll come back in a second. And it's that time again, guys. Let's just sort out the structure on this. And let's just move this out. So just get my handsome face a bit bigger. Again, we come down. We want 50% of the down before the up. We want that. Structure-wise is here. Again, clone that. We've got a new lower high. And again, this is just about training your brain to understand these areas. This here, from a standpoint, is no longer a TP area. That is a break of structure. We've now got a lower low. Okay. We now need to identify that liquidity area. While it still holds, it's a minute and 10 in. Again, we're going to get our down before the up, 50%. There's a 50%. We're going to hold structure above this plane here. Okay, we're going to hold structure above this here. We'll just get this onto here. Again, this needs to hold into there. There we are. So this is now a risk to reward of 1 to 3.7. Again, we are risking 2% per trade. Over the course of these 2 hours so far, we are into 1 hour and 20 minutes. We have not gotten into a trade. However, there is other things we can factor in with this with regards to jumping down to the 1 minute and if we look into this, we can see on the 1 minute, block wise, order block wise, you can see, because I'll break the structure down here, from here, you would have had an entry on the 1 minute there. You would have had an entry on a 1 minute there, albeit it would have stopped us out, the entry here. So again, on the 1 minute, we could have had an entry and yeah, a nice take profit, drilling it down to the 1 minute, to be fair. So if that was there, this was here, your take profit would have been down to here. That would have been a 1 to 5.79. Well, there's other things I'm going to implement in this, structure-wise, trading-wise, and everything else. For now, this is about an implementation on using it as a 5 minute time frame, okay? Identifying your structure from your high and your lower highs in this instance. Again, we've taken liquidity from that lower low because it's broke out of this structure. I'm hoping this is easy to follow and a bit more defined for you to understand. Again, what a risk of reward. We're just going to put this up to here, to be fair, just to give it a bit more of a cushion. We'll see if this comes up and plays into an area here. Again, if I was to go on to a 1 minute chart, okay, just watch this, guys. Oh, cancel that. So if you're watching here, you'll see on this part here, if I was to say, right, well, that's the order block of the 1 minute, okay, and then the order block from the 1 minute, that would be an entry there to around about the stop loss. See, so you've got an entry there in a 1 minute. That's a risk to reward on this here, this here of a 3.39. Okay, again, we'll see what happens with this. Just on the off chance, okay, this won't be sort of identified as an entry on the 1 minute, because overall we are waiting for the 5 minute entry on the 2% risk. I just want to see if this hits into play and then hits the TP. So we've got, in essence, bird's eye view, sliced in half. We've got 5 minutes and a 1 minute chart, and I'm looking at dissecting the 5 minute candle down into the 1 minute. We'll see if we hit the entry into this to then come to TP, because as we've moved down on the 5 minutes, we have been missing the entries by maybe 1 pip or 2 pip. I just want to see what happens in here. Again, guys, this all come to fruition with, let's have a look. I do believe it was Tom Bodders. Big shout out to you, mate. Like I say, when we had our chat this morning, I thought I'd implement this, but do it on the New York session. So there's a big shout out to him. And like I say, I'm back testing, doing this live during the New York session. We're going to see if we'll get an entry again. If this is to break through, take no notice. This bit here is not an official trade. It's just dissected. It's just dissected from here into a 1 minute. So that there is on the 1 minute chart. That there is overlaid on top of the 5 minute entity, because we have missed at least two entries going based upon the lower highs to the lower lows. So I'm just going to get rid of that bit. We understand that we're moving down the lower lows. We'll see if this will hold structure. And again, guys, once you've got the lower lows to the lower highs, you've then got a range. That's your range. That's your price action range, what you're looking to divert back into to bounce the ball off, because we're pushing down. Let's just make this a little bit deeper. Again, this a bit deeper. You can make this down to here. And you will be there. It's on the 1 minute, the entry will be there. Again, Draw this out. What's that there? That's that sorted. So again, guys, we've got our structure. We are working between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, 2 hours. 5-minute chart. 2% risk because we are only looking to get that one trade. That's what I want to base this upon. I want to try and get the one trade based upon a 2% risk. If the risk was to come in on this at the moment, it's going to give you just under an 8% gain. So it's another method that we're trialing at the minute. We'll see how we'll go with that. Again, we seem to be getting the push down on these. That's just making it even bigger and even better for the pullback on that. The 1%, this one here, the risk on here would be a 1%. That there on the 1 minute, 1 min would be a 1% risk. Again, this is it's just tanking at the minute. It's going down and down and down. Let's just have a look. Let's keep this in conjunction with it. See, we'll get the maneuver and keep in with the move. I'll try and keep this as live as I can every time. Starting to get the pullback on the 1 minute here. You see, you won't see that the pullback on here. You just see that there we are. You're just seeing that the candle and the buys are in control on the 1 minute. To the 5 minutes, we are seeing a bit more of an indecisiveness on the selling candle. This is all explained with, again, the wick on here, but with this here, it's telling us that we've had a little bit of shift in momentum on the buying side. I would like to see a trade get entered on here, to be fair. And we're getting the push out again. Let's just get the TB down to here. Bring down this. Wow, there's been news. Got to have been news on this. Push. On the 1 minute, now we're moving structure to here. To here. Okay, we can get rid of that. That there is the 1 minute order block area. Again, risking only 1%. That will be the entry. That's a 1 to 3. Based upon that there. This is, again, this is overlaid. This is overlaid in this area here. I'm still waiting for the pullback for the 5 minutes. And again, if this was to break, if this here was to break through this, it just means we're going for that 2%. We're going for the 2% one. Again, we're getting the wicks, the buys are in control. We can see the buying candles on here. We just need to get that pullback. Just identify the structure with regards to the lower low. Again, on here, the lower high here is on the 1 minute. You'll see in the crosshair, if you watch the crosshair this side, the lower high is the stop loss area of the 5 minutes on that 1 minute entity, if that makes sense. The buys are now certainly coming back into control because we're getting a lot of wick action on the 5 minute chart. But on the 1 minute, as we've dissected it down, you can see now there's some maneuver back into a pullback retraced sort of entity. We'll see if we get that retrace into the 1 minute candle. This is a bit more of an advanced sort of way or technique. I think this is going to take us up to our more or less our 3 o'clock side of things, to be fair. This will be the last sort of entry trade based upon the 5 minute. Most certainly, if we don't get the 5 minutes entry, I'm not too fussed. We can look back on the structure points on how it's reacted on its way down, which is a good thing. We were about a pip or so off from an entry on this one here. Again, on this IPA action, you've got this high. Yeah, we were around about a pip or so off, because that's the entry there. That there would have been, yeah, about 2 pips. We were 2 pips off from entry on the 5 minute, which was a shame, because if it had hit that entry, that most certainly would have given us around about a 7 or 8% gain, to be fair. Now, as you can see on the 5 minute chart now, the buyers, it's showing you the buyers candle. We're getting some momentum pushed right back up. 30 seconds on the 1 minute. It's going back into a doji candle on the selling side. To the left on the 5 minute. Obviously, there's 3 minutes on left on this candle, so the momentum is showing you the shift on the upside. It'd be a shame not to get in on a trade to see how the interaction between the two candles fare up, to be fair. And again, I don't want to come off the trade for, I mean, I know we've got to be 4, but I want to see it actually hit at least the 1 minute area before we get the pull down. If it's going to break this structure, okay, let's take a look. It's a TP at the minute. If it's going to break that structure, then obviously this here is then going to become the new candle, okay? For the 1 minute at least, anyway. Well, so let's see what it brings. Let's see what it brings. We'll just keep it playing. And again, we'll always risk just that 1%, always risk the 1% on the 1 minute chart. The 2% will always be risked on a 5 minute chart, because if we get the entry, we will only ever get around, if we're lucky, 1 trade within that 2 hour session. And again, it's not always about quantity, it's quality over quantity, I should say, okay? So it's quality over quantity every time. If I was to get a 2% risk hit at least maybe once, if I'm lucky, twice in a week, but each time that risk came in, and you can see on this, at the moment, that risk is a 1 to 5.76. If that was to come in and hit, it's over a 10% gain for the week on 1 trade. And if that 1 trade came in, and that's all I had, I'd be happy. It's a 10% gain. Because when we're looking at the bigger picture on the 1 minute chart, what I'm doing at the minute on the 1 minute scalps, yes, we're doing really well on there. We've got a 23% gain, but still, past performances don't obviously predict future projection sort of thing. So again, if we get the quality over quantity, and obviously you're going to be sort of getting better entries, and in that 2 hour cut down frame, you stay disciplined with that. If this was to sort of hit us out, then you're not going to be too worried about losing the 2% for a day's worth of trading. So again, that's going to come down to here. The 1 minute's going to come down to here. Your new 1 minute chart's there. That's your order block there. Let's get this right, John. This is starting to tank massively. 1 minute chart. Get rid of that. That's your block. That's your entry. That's your stop. That's your TP. On the 1 minute, it's a 1 to 3 now. Okay. From there, we still holding this on the 5 minute. as a possible retrace. There's a 1 to 8 there at the moment, based upon this candle here, because there's not really been any sort of pullbacks within this impulse move. So this still holds. The 1 minute chart at the moment is what it is. It's a 1 to 3.25, starting to get the pullback up. The TP area is going to hold as well. In fairness, what we're looking at there is a 1, just over a 1 to 8 on the 5 minutes, with a 2% risk at any given time. And on the 1 minute chart, we've dissected it down to a 1 to 3.25. The reason why this could be good is simply because if this breaks a structure, the only other two structures of play is this one here, which is liquidity. If you look on here, which is coincidentally liquidity on here. You see how that lined up, that there. Liquidity above there is actually liquidity on the high side here on this square, okay? And then liquidity up here, or the lower high, is actually the lower high here on the minute one. So if I just go back, and just cut that out. I just want to cut that out also. Get this. This is turning out to be a good session, to be fair. Quite enjoying this session. And again, we're going to pause the video just for a second, so I just need to upload something, then I can get back to where we are structure-wise in here. So just bear with me. Hopefully you're finding this a bit more insightful for the 5 minute versus the 1 minute. So let's get back into this live, because this is turning out to be an insightful session, to be fair. Right, so just going to close down the Discord stuff at the moment. Recap, we've got the 1 minute, okay, overlay it onto the 5 minutes, 2% risk on the 5 minute if it was to come into this area. Again, if this was to break through here, it just means we'll be looking at the higher side to be met on a 2% risk on here. Again, we're getting the push up. Unfortunately, at the moment, we haven't been sort of we haven't been getting any, what's the word, any trades into this session, to be fair, but all's not lost. It just sort of verifies what I anticipated, especially on the 5 minute. I anticipate possibly only getting one trade, if I'm lucky, within that time frame. But based upon the 2% risk, it would be worth it, because I generally only risk that 1%. And I've said this from each time I've hit that record. I would generally only risk 1% on the 1 minute anyway. So I'm happy with the implementation of a 2% risk, in all honesty. From there, we are anticipating the move on this 1 minute. If you look to the left on this chart here, you can see where the green box is, where I'm circling inside of. This area here on the 1 minute entry is the wick on the 5 minutes of that. And it looks as if we're going to get a push up and an entry on the 1 minute. So this is going to be great to see what's going to happen. Is it going to hold structure, or will it break through to go back up to that 2% area? And would you believe it? In fact, that there, I just want to drill this in, because would this have been an entry? Let's take a look. The entry is that there. Is that an entry? It hasn't quite ended, no. That there is a roundabout. Not even a, it's not even a pipette away. Would you believe it? It's just holding the structure. Typical, but again, we might get that entry. We might get that entry. Let's just get this on here. So this is going to be a 1 min risk, a 1 min chart, 1% risk. Sorry. Put my cursor on here. See if we get that push onto entry. So it looks like we've got the entry there now, have we? Bang, got the entry to the snipe. So we're in on the entry. The 1% risk is a 1 to 3.2. Again, we were hoping that we were going to get the push, because from this lower high, we've got the impulse drive down, okay, to again make, once again, to make that lower, and just to be highlighting this structure wise, that's the structure as we'll play it down. We're now into drawdown based upon the 1 minute. It's within the wick area. If you look to the left, the green box, this is the 1 minute. I'm hoping for me personally, I want this to be hit. I want this to be hit because this is a 1 to 8, risking a 2%, 16%. Bang! If that was to come in, before the end of this session, that would be fantastic. But again, if it doesn't, we get the 1 to 3, then it's happy days. We'll see what happens with it. Where we at? We're a 2:45, so we've got 15 minutes. So if you bear with us, guys, we'll pause the video. We're seeing where we are structure player wise. You've seen me do this player to player from the highs to the lower lows. Break a structure, break a structure, break a structure. We've got a new lower low. We're waiting for an anticipated sort of lower high. Again, going on the 1 minute, you can see the channel coming down. The lower high on the 5 minutes can happen anywhere within this area here, as you can see, okay? But on the 1 minute, we are starting to get a push down on this possible 1 to 3.12. Okay, so I'm just going to stop the share and we'll call back in a minute for the conclusion at 3 p.m. Okay, so I'll let this play out at 3 p.m. and we'll have a conclusion for today's session on the New York. Okay, thanks very much, guys. Guys, end of session for the New York. Again, let's have our analysis and share the screen. We are basing this on the 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes here, USD, Japanese yen, sorry. From there, we have been using half of the sort of last up before the down or the down before the up. In this instance, it is the halfway point of the last lower high. So going in preference on the last breakdown, okay, we didn't quite make it by a pip or so on here. However, if you look on here and we base this out, okay, that there, I do believe, based upon that lower high, the lower low, which was the structure point, we would have, let's just take a look. Would we have gotten an entry? Not quite. We wouldn't have. I thought we might have gotten a 1 to 3 on that, but we wouldn't have. Anyway, based upon what we're doing, we didn't quite get an entry today. We're not too worried about that. Structure-wise, you can see what we were anticipating coming down. We've got the highs, break a structure, create a lower low, the pullback. We were waiting for the entry, okay. Pull, impulse, breaking structure, make a new lower low. The pullback, we are anticipating the area to be hit within that, okay. We didn't quite get that, okay. Got the lower high, come down, impulse, broke structure, okay, create a lower low. So what you're doing then is you are basically maneuvering this into this area here, okay. We went with 50% on this one, okay. We went with 50%, which was here. We didn't come in to reach that, okay. We didn't come in to reach that, as you can see here. Didn't come in to reach that. However, we had the breakout here. If we used the wick of the candle, we could have gotten in on a trade. So we would have gotten in on a trade on that, okay, to the break of structure, which wouldn't have been much in fairness, okay. That would have been the lower low on the pullback. That there risking on a 2%, in fairness, on a 2%, that would have produced in itself just over 3%, just over 3%. But Again, we're here to test and back test, and I'm doing it live in front of your faces. Again, the 5 minute, we're always going to risk 2% on the 5 minutes, simply because we will possibly only get into one trade or so. So then we had the impulse, break of structure, okay, on this one, impulse, break of structure, liquidity is getting held here at this moment, okay, and then we've got the pullback on the 1 minute. You'll see here, this green here is on the 1 minute. That's the 1 minute, which resides into the wick of here. It's been an entry on the 1 minute, and at this time of closing, let's just take a look at the time of closing. It could have been a 7.6. At this moment in time, the price is sitting at about a 1-to-1, to be fair. So I'm going to close it out there. That's it for this session on an afternoon. I'll try and do this even more. Okay, I'll try and do this even more on an afternoon one as well. So the morning sessions, the Euro USD will be based upon 1 minute only. The afternoon sessions, which I'll do between 1 and 3, I'm going to base them upon the 5 minute chart with the 2% risk. And I'll do it side by side with the minute overlay. Okay, if you've enjoyed the video on this one, please drop your comment on the YouTube thread. Let me know what you think. Are you seeing with me putting the structure points on there? Is that more helpful for you? Is it helping you identify these areas? Just let me know. And again, if you're seeing value in what I'm doing on this, please, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button to get notified. Hit the bell, and you'll get a nice little notification via email once I put anything uploaded onto YouTube. And if you've seen value and you want to get even more access to the sort of stuff we do and what I do within this community, you can simply go back onto the the YouTube channel, click on the join and become a member by doing the spark or the fire, okay, and you'll get access to all this sort of stuff. So I've enjoyed today's session, to be fair, a bit more of an outlook on stretching up to a 5 minutes. If you want to base yourself on just merely getting into one trade a day, it's a good structured approach, because based upon that 2 hour time frame within a 5 minute entity, you'll possibly only get that one trade on that. But again, risking that 2%, even if the risk to reward was a 1 to 3, risking the 2% to get that solitary trade on the day is going to give you a 6% growth. I hope that sinks in. I hope it shows you the power on that. It's structured, it's keeping you disciplined, and it's stopping you from over trading. And that's what I'm all about. I'm here to help you build your confidence, your consistency, and your profitability, full of integrity, value, and integrity, value, and honesty. That's the word I want to do. Get me teeth in. So I'll catch you later, and I'll see you on the next one, guys. See you later.